everybody, and welcome back to the European Masters. We're on day number 2 of the playoffs. My name is Hecarim, and I'm joined by Jactroll. Jactroll, how you doing? You alright?
Yeah, doing good. Did my first EU Masters cast from home yesterday, which was really fun. It was a banger series, but yeah, looking forward to this one especially because my old team, my boys are playing. I'm not going to be biased towards them, but I was part of that team for 2 years, but we'll see how they perform.
Hey man, I'm going to be biased towards him. I'm an NLC caster, let's be real. This is going to be a slightly jonky cast. We are getting ready to go into our playoffs for today, but obviously yesterday we did say goodbye to makers from Italy and Sup from the Balkans, although, let's be real, while Sup had to play versus KC, they actually took a game off them.
Yeah, they did. And I think yesterday's 2 series are both very interesting because UCAM looked a little bit shaky, but they did manage to win against MKS. But like you said, K-Corp, they struggled against Sup. Sup had a really clear plan coming into it, and they managed to, even in this game, before I jump to that, MKS was winning these games. They were winning against UCAM. UCAM kind of stole the Baron there, and all of a sudden they started turning the game, and things like this started happening. So MKS definitely were putting up a fight, and UCAM were struggling in a sense, but this was a series that was on people's minds. Sup beating K-Corp in game 1, having a really clear plan, picking a Jace weak side and playing towards bot. But I think K-Corp adapted really well in game 2 and game 3.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, Sup, to be fair to them, even though they're gone, they blew expectations out of the water for the entire tournament. So they could walk away very happy with themselves. They beat the tournament favorites. A team that hadn't dropped a single game in the group stages, a team that were undefeated in the European Masters right up until here. But KC kind of plugged their keyboards in for game 2 and 3 and fired back as we got into the round of that. But let's have a little look at the bracket and just see how everything kind of has fallen as we're moving into day 2 of our semi-final, or quarterfinal, sorry. As you can see, Makers and Sup were knocked out, but today it's going to be Misfits Premier, the 2nd seed from the LFL, and the NLC's BTXL going head-to-head in our first game of the day. And then it's going to be the Dark Region show-off between Big and Mouse.
And I think the interesting thing here is if BTXL win today in this first series, what basically means that in the semifinals we have a Spanish region, we have a French region, an NLC, and a German representative, which is really cool to me. You have one from almost each region in the semifinals. That'll be really cool. Obviously, if Misfits win, we could be looking at a France versus France finals because that region is looking very strong. K-Corp losing 1 game yesterday does show that gods do bleed, but they still look quite dominant. Game 2 and game 3, they had like 10k gold leads at 15-20 minutes, so they definitely showed their form from the regular split.
Yeah, and as we do kind of actually focus on this first game, BTXL versus Misfits Premier, one of the things that you were talking to me about was actually how quick Misfits do close out some of their games. And that's the scary thing about this team is they move fast. They move very fast.
They do move very, very fast. They had such quick games. Like they had a 22-minute game, they had a 17-minute game. And these are teams like G2 Arcade and Sup that they're taking down in such quick time. And I feel like the biggest factor for me in these teams, in this team especially, is Woolite. I think their bot lane is playing so fantastically well, especially around the team fights. And then on your screen here, we've got BTXL, who play slightly differently to me. I think that they play more towards their solo lanes. I think there's a bit of a contrast in playstyles that we'll see here coming into today's series, which I'm interested to see how they develop, because obviously you can try and mismatch the plan from the expectations about the team you're facing. And what I mean by that is maybe Misfits want to play more top side to shut down Orome, and maybe BTXL want to play more bot side to shut down Woolite.
And we know that Deadly's capable of carrying. It used to be the XL style, was use Deadly as your carry. Now typically they use him more of as a kind of late game investment. They get farm onto him and he does kind of carry from the later stages, but early/mid, it's all about the mid/top lane and Markoon kind of impacting and setting them up for success. And week 1, it's fair to say, it was pretty rough top side. It was rough mid side as well, to be fair. But week 2, it was an entirely different beast coming out from Orome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, pentakill on Camille, and then the Urgot performance as well. I think he was like 12-2 on Camille, 9-1 on the Urgot. These kind of strong side, bruisery, split push-esque team fighters work so well for him. I think that's something that Misfits definitely needs to keep an eye on. But also a bot matchup needs to be looked at, especially as well by both teams. Like in the series yesterday, we saw how broken Jinx was. I feel like that champ was winning every single game and every single lane, it felt like. And if you play towards the Jinx and she gets to the late game, mid to late game quite handily, then you're definitely going to struggle. And I think both these AD carries are going to prioritize it.
I'm glad we're talking about the AD carries because we did have a little look at them and how they play and how they impact their team. It stood out to us, but Woolite takes over the games pretty hard. I mean, you can see the numbers straight up on your screen. Massive damage share coming out from Woolite.
35% of his team's damage is absolutely nuts to me. And this is over 6 games. This is group stage. This is 6 games worth of statistics. 35% of his team's damage, almost 70% kill participation. I mean, Woolite, even last year, you could see his form. He was high on damage charts. He was looking like the best AD carry in the EU Masters when he was on teams like Aggro Rogue. And I feel like he's just showing that performance again this time around. I mean, 35% damage dealt. I still can't wrap my head quite around it. But I think he's also got a really diverse champion pool. Another thing to note about Woolite is he's basically played a different champion every single time in group stage. You've got Jinx, you've got Varus, Aphelios, Draven, Tristana, Senna, so he can really pull out anything that he needs to.
Yeah, that always is the scary thing when you don't really know what to ban. Obviously, there are the strong picks, quote unquote strong picks at the moment, right? But there are, you know, there's a lot of flexibility still, and if Woolite can pull that out, that's the scary thing. But over on the side of BTXL, while Deadly used to be the carry, things have changed. We did highlight it. Orome, the top laner for XL. This guy really came into his own in the second week of the European Masters, getting a pentakill on the Kai'Sa. I mean, you can see, again, more stats for you to have a look at, but Orome really picked it up in week 2.
Oh yeah, stats. He definitely did pick it up, and I mean, he's doing 27% of his team damage, which is obviously lower than Woolite, but Woolite's playing AD carries. But Orome is actually the highest damage dealer on his team, so that kind of tells a story in itself. He gets the highest gold share, he does the highest damage, and his laning stats are phenomenal. So this is definitely a player you want to put resources into, and this is a player who was in the LEC, who did go to Worlds. You know, he did go beat G2 in a best of 5. This is a player with a lot of experience, so if you can give him resources and give him a lot of the gold share of the team, then he has a lot of reliability when it comes to carrying.
Yeah, I really want to see Markoon pay attention towards him in the top side. Domestically, Markoon was a very oppressive jungler who always got onto the map and set his team up for success, constantly ganking, constantly getting Orome and Hatrixx ahead so that they could carry games. Just like this, really. So I want to see Markoon kind of return to that form and, like you said, maybe lean topside, set Orome up for success. But that is obviously what we're going to be looking out for coming into this game. Now, there is stuff going on all over the place. Obviously, I know you guys at home have been betting on the channel, using your channel points to predict games, but you can also head over to our Discord, link below, and head over there and put your predictions in for the upcoming series. Let us know. I'd love to see exactly what you're going for. But as we're moving towards Champ Select, let's talk about what we're expecting to see picked and banned. I know that Udyr and the Hecarim are going to be the kind of the big one, but let's keep our eyes on what do you think we're going to be seeing the attention go towards here, mate?
Well, I think most of the priorities right now, from what I've seen in EU Masters, are things like the Jinx, the Renekton, the junglers, and even mid laners at times, right? So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of those banned out. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Nocturne ban. As I was just about to say it, and they did it. The Nocturne ban onto Orome. He played it once, the tournament he won. I think Nocturne solo lane is very powerful, so that's a good read, a good ban. You don't want to fall against these champions where you obviously Nocturne takes away your vision for 6 seconds in a team fight. It's really annoying to play against. Could cut you off guard. You can't really push sides, so it's very difficult and annoying to deal with. So just taking that off the board is really smart. Things like the Tristana, the Jinx, the Hecarim, the Udyr, these are the OPs that I expect to see banned away.
Yeah, it's nice because it also shuts down like proactive plays as well, reactive plays, and like the teleports. Can't teleport for that 6 seconds, but yeah, like you said, the Tristana have been taken away. There goes the Jinx as well. You highlighted that just before the game started, another power pick, and so far the Udyr and Hecarim have been left open. Question is are Misfits going to leave one open? Are they going to ban them and hope the trade comes out here? This is their final ban. Let's see what they decide to take away.
If they ban away a jungler here, then BTXL have to respond with a jungler, but if they don't ban away a jungler, that means BTXL can opt to the trade, and then they obviously get first rotation of things like the Varus or the Orianna or something like this. That's a power pick that they might want to opt into, but that TF ban basically tells me that if XL ban a jungler now, it's not really worth it, so they could probably target something else. Maybe they want to look at things like the Senna, maybe they want to look at things like maybe even just a Hecarim ban or an Udyr ban, because it might be a stronger one to deal with. Shlatan, 3 games of Udyr, 1 game of Hecarim, so obviously more comfort towards that, perhaps you could argue. Maybe taking that off the board, or maybe taking a champion off Agresivoo, because he's blue side, he's going to have to blind pick a top lane, or maybe a Jace ban wouldn't hurt either.
All right, well, they're thinking it through. They've got a couple of seconds left. The final ban is actually going to be that Thresh. Gives a bit of safety to Woolite in the bot lane. Good for engaging, good for disengaging. So now we kind of expect to see either the Udyr or the Hecarim taken away here by Misfits Premier, unless they have something else in mind. Like you said, there are still things like that Varus open if they want to take that. They're actually going to just blind pick the Tahm Kench. Yeah,
smart pick there. Both junglers are up, Hecarim and Udyr. We don't really need to first pick a jungler and just trade off. Let's just take the Tahm Kench. Maybe look to secure a Senna Tahm there on the 2-3. I mean, BTXL arguably could pick away the Senna here, but it's probably not worth it for him. I think picking the best jungler that's available, like a Hecarim and an Orianna combined with that, or a Varus, some kind of power pick in bot side, and then look for a counter pick on support on 3 perhaps. Just know what this Tahm Kench is doing. If they don't go Senna Tahm, maybe you want to opt in something else.
was thinking maybe you could go like the Orianna and the Kai'Sa in your rotation as well with that Hecarim, but they are just going to move away from something a little bit more dive heavy and actually just lock in Advienne, the Rakan, as their answer into that support role. So do expect to probably see the Senna show its face. We have seen the Varus paired up the Tahm Kench as well to offer a level of safety, especially when you're into something like the quickness and the onslaught of shadows. They are just going to pick the Udyr for Shlatan, pretty much expected as the trade-off. And there's the Senna for Misfits Premier.
Yeah, it looks like BTXL kind of know that that's going to be a Senna Tahm Kench. So the blind pick Rakan, well, not so much blind pick. They know what they're going into with the Hecarim. Makes sense, right? It gives you lots of team fight. And Rakan can't get really punished by a Tahm Kench. You can argue that this lane's pretty easy for him. The Tahm Kench walks up, you can always dash away. It's very mobile support, so it can easily deal with this lane. We'll have to see what they opt into here, because if they pick a mid laner like an Orianna, I think the AD pool will get pinched. So picking something like the Kai'Sa might help Deadly out a little bit here, seeing as there's 2 AD carries banned in a sense already, and Senna's picked away. So you could be looking at the Varus ban, a Kai'Sa ban, and then you're stuck on things that might not be as comfortable.
I feel like Misfits are really going to want to ban that Orianna. It syncs up so well with what BTXL have put together already. And Misfits, you can tell from their comp already, they kind of want to keep XL at arm's length. Obviously, the Udyr wants to jump in there, but the Senna Tahm Kench want to keep them away, while XL want to be jumping in forwards. The Zoe's going to get taken away by Sertuss. We know it's one of his kind of pocket picks, but I do expect to see probably an Orianna ban away from Hatrixx here.
I'm expecting Orianna Viktor perhaps from the side of Misfits. I mean, they're definitely going to counterpick top. BTXL definitely going to counterpick top, but no, it looks like they're banning away the counterpick top. Maybe that signals that they're going to go for a Jace pick, something like that, a Jace Gnar pick, because the Wukong can do well into that matchup at level 6. So that signals to me that they'd want to look for either a split pusher or a tank towards the top side. But they're definitely going to save last pick for top, I would assume, unless they want to blind pick a Gnar for Orome and look for that counter pick in mid. But I think with the mid laners banned away, I don't think there's really too much counter to go here. I think just securing something like the Orianna Viktor alongside Hecarim Rakan just gives you enough firepower in a sense already.
I actually think that Wukong ban might have caught BTXL off guard, because they took their time on that ban. Do take away the Gnar. Like you said, though, things like the Jace are open if they want to pick something that can kind of sit comfortably up in the side lanes. Final ban here coming in from Misfits Premier. I just feel like it's got to be that Orianna. But I mean, there are obviously other mids. Like you said, the Viktor's open as well.
I think BTXL will run into a bit of problem here. Well, the Orianna should be free for them, but I think the Jace blind pick might be a bit difficult to deal with because they're obviously playing Senna Tahm Kench. Double global can help out the Jace on side lane, will be very impressive. But I think last picking something like a Malphite could do really well for them. So BTXL have a lot of options here to win the draft quite handily with the Orianna pick on 4. If they blind pick a Jace, 5 pick Malphite, and I think BTXL have this draft in the bag. We'll have to see how Misfits adapt. Maybe they just want to go for a tank top instead.
Looks like Sertuss probably just going to opt into the double robot mid lane, picking up the Viktor. It might be a bit of a curveball coming in here. There are a fair few top laners open. Like you said, that Jace is probably where you're kind of expecting it to go. We'll have to see exactly what Misfits want to lock in here. They're going to go for the Sion for the top lane.
Yep, go for a tank, get some more team fight going. Doesn't make sense to play Jace. I mean, you have a good 1-4, good early game jungler and lots of globals to work with, but the enemy team is full team fight, right? So if you're dropping Drakes early, the Jace won't have as much impact on side. So just securing a tank for frontline for your Senna Tahm. You have a Viktor as well, so the team fights are not too bad, but that opens up an Aatrox pick, which we've seen across the world for the last couple of years. You know, Aatrox into Sion, you out-heal his damage, win the side lane, win the lane.
I love that pick for Orome as well. I want to see Orome return to the carries, and that's what we're seeing out of him here on this Aatrox. I think it's fairly obvious what BTXL have put together. They want to fight. That is a fighting team comp. What are Misfits looking to do? What is this comp built to do?
Well, it looks like Misfits have a bit more of a favorable early game, I would say. You know, you've got the Udyr and the Viktor, so you should win out in the early mid-jungle 2v2, but it gets kind of rough from level 4, level 5 onwards. The Hecarim Orianna getting towards level 6 can be very difficult mid-jungle to deal with. The Aatrox is going to be pushing in top. You might arguably get some bot side push, so maybe playing towards the bot side of the map is what Misfits need to do in this early game, because I don't think Sion, even if he gets a kill or two, will never really win out against this Aatrox. The good thing Misfits have going for them is they have more frontline than BTXL. BTXL have almost like a triple threat composition with a Hecarim engage. So it looks like Misfits have a lot more frontline for Woolite to be able to get the damage off, and BTXL have a lot more threats in the fights.
It's like I said, they kind of want to keep BTXL at arm's length. They don't want them on top of them. You've got the Tahm Kench to disengage if everyone launches in onto that Senna, so you can just get them out and make sure that Woolite's going to be able to put the damage out. Because remember, like we were saying, puts out the most damage for his team. Serious damage coming out from Woolite. As we're on to the Rift for our first of this best of 3 between BTXL and Misfits Premier. XL definitely drafting themselves a team fight composition. And like you said, keep our eyes on Shlatan early. Want him to set up for success for XL here.
Yeah, XL's comp has a lot of synergy going for them, right? You've got the Hecarim Orianna, and if the Hecarim's ults down or he gets caught out or the team fight positioning's not great, you've still got the Rakan with the quickness who can go in. You've still got the Aatrox who can flank. You have the Kai'Sa diving in as well. So you have a lot of team fight tools that work really well in harmony together, whereas Misfits don't really have too much that work together so well. I mean, you have got the Gravity Field and the Chaos Storm with like a Senna ult, and you've got the Sion Q as well. So a little bit of spells that work and mix and match together. But Misfits definitely need to pick their fights in a smart way. They've got a lot of single target damage on their jungle bots, whereas BTXL have a lot of AoE spells that Misfits needs to be careful about.
Well, it's just the defensive lines started up here. Looks like we're not going to see any early game skirmishing or fighting. I do want to talk a little bit about the differences between these teams and what we saw from them, because Misfits did play very fast and loose, and you can see that reflected in their gold difference at 15. They were up 5.4k, while BTXL were down 1.7k. Very different play styles. Misfits do play extremely accelerated, really.
Well, that's just crazy stats on its own. 5,500 gold up at 15 minutes on average in 6 games. It's a very scary stat to face. Yes, they had a 17-minute game, which might sway that gold, but still, that's an incredible stat. So Misfits, definitely keep your eye on them in the early game. Just by stats, if you read into them a bit too much, it could be bad, but just looking at it, I think BTXL, especially with the composition they have, they just need to kind of relax in the early game, maybe drop a Drake or two here and there. Try and contest a little bit, don't overextend for too much, because I think that their spikes come in at 1 or 2 items, level 11s as well, especially with these big ultimates, and they do outscale them in most of the roles. So I think Misfits definitely need to play towards bot side, both junglers starting on opposite sides of the map, and lots of trading here. But like I said in draft, Misfits probably going to play towards the bot side, and BTXL probably going to get Orome ahead.
And you can see that by the way the junglers are pathing, starting on their blue buffs, heading upwards for Markoon and downwards for Shlatan. Pretty much matched on their pace so far. Udyr is a little bit quicker than the Hecarim. If you don't know that, where have you been? This has been the meta for a long time now. All the European Masters, it's been Udyr Hecarim.
Yeah, Udyr Hecarim, lots of speed and just running at you. So even if you flash away, they're still going to chase you down because they're 100,000 times faster. So have to see how both these junglers interpret the game state. Looks like they're both just going to full clear. Take crabs on opposite sides with the push. Misfits having the push in bot, and Orome should have the push in top side. So not much action in this early game. It will be slow. Slightly favors BTXL in a sense, but if Misfits can get that early game rolling with neutral objectives, they should be able to force BTXL to respond eventually.
But keep our eyes on how much Deadly's going to be able to catch underneath this tower. At the moment, got 7 CS. Obviously, looking at Jactroll as a comparison for that farm, who's on 15 at the moment. They are going to jump in for a nice bit of damage, actually. Woolite gets gobbled up. He's low. It's first blood for Deadly. Ignite on him, but he is not going to be getting out of that.
That's such a good punish from the side of BTXL. Woolite stepping up way too far. Deadly traded on him so aggressively, and there was no response from Misfits. We were talking about how well Woolite was doing in the lane phase, doing all the damage for his team. But Deadly's the one who strikes first and gets first blood on the weak side, right? Your jungler's top and you manage to get a first blood bot side. That's a really huge advantage for BTXL in this early game.
I'm going to be honest with you, K'Drill. I think Deadly probably saw that graph from the beginning of the game. He wasn't happy about that, trying to prove us wrong here.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't. So we'll have to see this again. Deadly's trying to step up here to get the 3 range creeps with the Q. But Woolite steps up. The double knockup comes in. Deadly doesn't connect the W, but he has the passive stacks, flashes on, finishes him off, and looks like Summoners traded across the borders. They're trading again.
Almost catching onto Woolite with that heroic entrance, or grand entrance, sorry. But Woolite able to get away from that. Markoon done a full clear and now just going back towards this jungle to clear upwards once again. Bot lane's in an okay spot. Shlatan's on the opposite side of the map. They don't have the information of where he is, although Orome is scouting him out, and I believe he spotted him.
Yeah, looks like Markoon will be spotted out on that ward when he went to Gromp. And BTXL, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to push in the wave bot to make sure that they can base. Because although Deadly has got first blood and he has got a kill, he hasn't actually been able to spend the gold. And Misfits are going to contest the wave as much as they can to stop him from being able to base. As Sertuss winning out in these early trades mid. Orome having the push in top, as you'd expect. But the only thing that both teams are keeping their eye on right now is whether they can get bot lane to base. And I don't think Misfits are going to allow that to happen anytime soon.
No, they are fighting tooth and nail to stop this wave from crashing. Looks like XL are just going to have to call it here, and it will slowly push in, so...
Oh, looking mid, Hatrixx TPing.
He's coming in, looking for the fight as Hatrixx on the run. Shlatan has spotted out Markoon, who's trying to get himself the chickens. No level 6s for anybody here, as Woolite has roamed over. And that is going to be enough to force XL away. They only got a couple of the small chickens from that camp. Yeah,
Woolite is the support you are in this game. Doesn't need to farm the creep so he can move towards mid. Hatrixx, very aggressive TP back to lane there. Shlatan was running to mid lane right behind him, so it could have got punished there a little bit, but just ends up losing a potion. But he's lost out on a lot of mana, and Sertuss can now base himself and TP back, so Sertuss should be favored in the mid matchup, has some push, will have a mana advantage. And Orome based and bought Merc Treads, first item, so wants to make sure he can't get connected on with the stun from Udyr and make sure he can run away.
I think that's a respectable buy, to be honest. Obviously, it doesn't give you too much versus the Sion, who's now got the Bramble Vest, so we'll cut through some of the healing that Orome will be able to use from his passive.
Yeah, it's just a slightly confusing when you look at it, right? The Merc Treads into the Udyr Sion, but it makes sense. Team fights, you've got a Viktor, you've got a Tahm, Kench, the Udyr stun, a lot of CC to deal with, so respectable buy there. And Boots is the name of the game for mids and jungles as well. All of them just picking up Boots, get the move speed in the early game. The raw stats of bonus ability power, 20-25 AP is really not worth it versus the movement speed that you can get accrued by just kind of walking up the lanes, pushing in and collapsing on sides. It gives you much more value than just having raw stats for fights in the early game. But looks like Markoon's hovering towards the bot side here. Looks like he was considering a Drake.
Yeah, he was thinking about it, but decided not to go for it. He's going to just go back towards the clear. Wants to hit that 6 first. Remember, isn't a Hecarim, so doesn't have the flash. He's running that ghost. So if you get caught out in the pit, it can be a little hairy if you don't have your ultimate to clear walls.
Can be indeed. And Hatrixx spacing coming back to mid. Very slow early game. Wouldn't be surprised to see one team start up a neutral objective soon. Shlatan pathing towards the bot side. Markoon has a window in bot though. Both of these bot lanes have
the
flash.
Gobble, actually. The ghost is on. They can find this. Woolite inside the puddle, but has to burn the flash already. As Advienne's going to miss the knockout, but Markoon secures the kill. Jactroll sent back towards the tower. Double pinks thrown down by BTXL as well, just to spot them out in the puddle. Yeah,
good identification there from Markoon that the EAT was down. Managed to pick up Woolite. Woolite had, I don't know if he had heal up in time. I think it maybe perhaps just came up, so didn't have that for the fight. Does end up going down. Markoon opting not to go for the dragon. He just wants to keep clearing out his camps, and another death on Woolite in his bot side. Really helping out XL in this early game, who have a small gold lead. And we'll have to see how the game progresses though, because Shlatan's kind of playing for himself. He's not really looking at ganks too much. He's almost level 7 on this Udyr, and he's around 2 camps ahead, so making sure he's fed in this early game, being a bit selfish, see if he can impact the map as well.
He is spotting out Markoon's pathing through the jungle. Markoon will find this one control ward, but that ward by the chicken camp isn't going to see him. They do have the information now that Hatrixx is missing and Markoon's on the top side, so Agresivoo pushed underneath his tower on that Sion. Most likely not going to get dove here. So I think he's feeling pretty comfortable with himself. Let's take a stock of where we are item-wise. Like you said, the boots are kind of coming in on the top side of the map, but now the Noon Quiver and Pickaxe onto Deadly to double Longsword onto Woolite.
Yeah. So building towards the Kraken Slayers or Gale Forces there for Deadly. We'll have to see what they opt into, but it looks like Misfits going for a full swap. They identify that bot side is probably not where they want to fight. Woolite level 4 to Deadly level 6 and without flash, so doesn't want to lane 2v2 there. Let's just push out bot, move towards the top side of the map, secure this Herald, and BTXL won't be in time to respond. Deadly probably going to push out this bot wave, and Markoon might just base and go towards Drake.
Yeah, looks like that's going to be the game plan for him. Was on the wrong side of the map to start the Drake up in response, but there goes the Herald in the pocket of Shlatan. The question is where is that going to get used? Are they going to use that in the mid lane, try and crack the couple of plates and get Sertuss into a comfortable position, or where are they going to look to funnel that gold?
You'd expect it to go mid majority of the time. Looks like Misfits don't really have any pushing lanes anymore. Their bot lane was their main pushing lane, but they've made a few blunders in the early game, so they're going to be behind. Deadly a lot further in XP, a lot further in items, should be able to keep the bot push. So Misfits probably going to use it towards the mid lane, unless XL make a mistake in the lane phase itself. But Dragon's still up. BTXL have full bot side control. Look at the vision that Advienne just placed on the bot side of the map. Full vision, full information. So now Markoon can start up this Drake for free, and they've pushed in bot as well. So really good map movements here from BTXL, responding to the Herald play really well. Although it's a minute later on, they make the play of their own.
And the stacking dragons was a thing you actually talked about, but you were a bit worried about. Obviously, that was in regards to them having a Jace, but, you know, if XL can stack these early dragons, when, like you said, kind of as we move later onto the game, there's level 11 marks, that's when it starts to get scary, when the items come in, when the ults start to come in. If you start to stack up these dragons and look towards a soul early, meets XL in a pretty scary position, to be honest, if you're on Misfits.
Yeah, definitely, especially with this team fight composition. Misfits are forced into it when you've got like an level 11 Kai'Sa with the Killer Instinct, much more range on the ultimate. The Shockwave will get a lot more damage, so even more worrisome for the side of Misfits, who have a lot of single target damage barring the Viktor, and they're having the pushing top. Bringing aggressively onto bot though.
Yeah, I'm going to get rooted up, but Shlatan not going to be able to get her there in time, although Look off in the side. Markoon just behind that tower, waiting to counter gank. It's itching for it to happen, but Misfits, they smell a rat and they're not going to fall for it.
No, definitely. And BTXL have the TP in mid. They have the TP advantage in mid for the bot side fight. So if Shlatan wants to go too deep, TP would come in and Hatrixx would pick up a kill. So doesn't want to overextend there. And you can just see from the trading pattern in bot, they're up 20 CS. They're up a plate because of the swap. As soon as Deadly even lands 1 or 2 auto attacks with a Q onto Woolite, he's forced out already. So lots of favorability here towards the bot side of XL. And that's because of the mistake earlier on. And Markoon playing down here, who's trying to farm up, still a level down on Shlatan, but what he's done has helped his team a lot, especially on the bot side of the map. And Shlatan still has his Herald, so we'll have to see where he uses it. I'm assuming it's going to go mid, but he doesn't really have any pushing lanes to work with.
While we're in a quick lull, I'd actually like to have a little look at the gold leads individually and see where we're at, as Deadly just finished up his Kraken Slayer.
Oh.
It's a pretty big lead down there. Obviously, I know Senna's not farming, so we'll naturally get less gold, but that is a worrisome sign to see a Kai'Sa already 2k up.
Yeah, definitely really accelerated. Deadly. It's very far ahead. And that's going to be very dangerous when it comes to second and third Drake. Misfits can afford to drop the second one if they want to, maybe play for some more gold on themselves on their carries. But when it comes to third or fourth, they definitely contest it. So this is just a good play from Shlatan. He doesn't have any pushing lanes, and that means that using the Herald will never really be effective because you can't push onto the tower and hit it at the same time. So the best place to always put it is mid. Chunk out mid tower, give your plates to your control mage, get him some items quicker, and that means when the second Herald comes up, you can use that mid again to crack open the tower.
Advienne just on a bit of an anti-warding spree, trying to nestle some control in the area. They spot out the chicken camp, so Markoon will say, thank you very much, I'll have that one. Deadly's getting some free time down in the bottom lane. This is typically what we saw from Deadly domestically, was he did just sit on an island alone for quite a long time and farm. And now that he's ahead as well, this is great for him. Just kind of get solo experience, solo gold. Like you were saying earlier and highlighting, Woolite is down in experience, and this is the Deadly style. When Deadly's enabled, he does get massive experience leads over his opponents. Yeah,
he does, but there's lots of eyes towards bot lane here. Both top laners have base and they both have TP up, and there's double TP wards in the brushes bot side. So if anyone overextends, the TPs will come in. And look at the vision again from Advienne. Base replaced all the vision on the bot side of the map. The whole bot side jungle is lit up for the side of BTXL again. And the problem Shlatan has here, he has a winning bot matchup in the early game, but they made a mistake. They got ganked as well, so now they're losing this matchup. So he doesn't really have anywhere to play to. He could go top side and try and gank Orome. First of all, it'll be really difficult to kill him due to the lack of damage. And second of all, even if they were to get the kill, it wouldn't really net them a big lead. Getting a kill on the Sion for next Ruby Crystal, the Udyr, won't actually win you the game when your bot lane is instantly going to get dove when you go for that play on the cross map. So BTXL just covering bot side most of the time, looking for the aggressive plays, making sure Misfits have to respond so that Orome can keep farming top, still around 20 CS up in this top side. So Misfits are on a timer here. It doesn't look like it's so much, but they're definitely on a timer here, especially when this next Drake spawns. And if BTXL get that, they need to look for some kind of plays to crack this game open.
If I were to ask you for a soft timer, where would you think that soft timer is? Is it an item, or is it a level, like kind of a point? Where does this timer hit, and when do you start to get really worried if you're Misfits?
I think when the first tower falls, if BTXL can get this bot tier 1 and the Drake and get their bot lane into mid and start going for like a 1-4, it's going to be really difficult for Misfits to crack it open, because their team fight is decent, but BTXL is a lot stronger. They don't have too much pick potential either. It's not like they have big spells to cross map across the entire rift, barring really the Tahm Kench ultimate, but Jactroll will need to hit level 11 to get that one to be effective. But Misfits trying to contest bot side here. All the eyes are bot side. There's 4 TPs available, and both teams want to crack the spot tier 1 open.
Itching to do so. Shlatan and Markoon are on this side of the map as well. Zlatan's going to pick up his red buff. Blue buff spawning up, probably just going to get handed over to Hatrixx, who will be spotted out moving down by that pink ward in the bush. We'll finally see it and clear it out.
Yeah, and the blue buff is still up. Looks like Markoon's opting to skip that to make sure his bot lane's safe. Smart play there. Drake's up in 10 seconds. If they can move into river first, they should have control of the bot side of the river. And Orome is still winning out on this top side. Means that he'll be very useful in the late game team fights. When the Aatrox gets 1 or 2 items, it's going to be very dangerous for the back line of Misfits, where you can just dive in alongside a Hecarim, alongside a Rakan. So Misfits without vision, it's going to be really difficult to actually contest this dragon. Maybe they can look for a cross map. Maybe Shlatan can look for a base now, go towards Herald and trade that off the mid tier 1 later on. Instead of trying to fight this Drake. When you've got no vision, it's very difficult to even try and find anything at all.
Markoon's going to hand over the blue buff as well to Hatrixx, which means that mana problem that was starting to build up towards this dragon now disappearing, as he will be able to regen and keep the wave shoved for his team. So the resets are coming in from Misfits Premier. They are just going to give this dragon up. Shlatan Rather focus on the clearing. The vision control's just not there.
Yeah,
this is going to be the second dragon for XL.
It's so difficult to face check a Rakan, a Hecarim, a Shockwave. You're instantly forced to flash out, and from that point, it's just better to cross map. But the problem they're facing, like we've been talking about, is Orome has the top push, so he can scout out this Herald start that Shlatan tried to just do on the minimap, and BTXL's bot lane just based after Drake and run towards topside now, so they're denying any form of cross map that Misfits could do. They can't trade the Herald for the dragon. They're moving out towards mid, and I think BTXL have got a really good setup here going into the mid game.
I think they actually got a really nice Drake for themselves as well. Cloud Soul, pretty nice when you're a team that's fairly reliant on those ultimates for team fighting, but also with the fact that Misfits, like I said, want to kind of keep them away, keep them at arm's length, getting that extra movement speed can be really, really impactful. So if XL can stack that up, it's going to be problematic.
Look at this shift from XL. It's just beautiful to watch. Their bot lane bases and runs mid, catches the wave. Hatrixx TP's mid, is going to catch top wave. And Orome bases and runs bot. So they've all swapped lanes, but they've made sure they've not dropped a single wave. The only danger here is Orome could get 3-man dove, so he needs to respect it and give it up a little bit and just scout out. But in the end, they get the Drake, they get the Herald, and they get the lane assignments they need to start pushing this game forwards.
It's going to be answered out by first turret here by Misfits. They were able to pick that one up, but with the Rift Herald in pocket of XL, could just go mid, could just go top. It looks like they might just throw it down in the top lane as Markoon's there with Hatrixx and a wave, and this tower not long for the world.
Yeah, gonna pop the Herald and cracking open top tier 1. It's obviously not the best. Cracking open mid would be easier, but they've got a lot of wave clear. And cracking open this tier 1 means that Hatrixx can push in the waves all the way to tier 2, control the top side jungle of Misfits. You can see there's wards already there. And if they can get pinks in there, push their vision line forwards, then Sertuss just keeps having to giving up waves, and he has to keep respecting this top side of the map of BTXL. But Misfits end up picking up the first tower. They did get a little bit of relief on their bot side, but still down around 40 CS, which you'd expect with the Senna Tahm Kench. But BTXL have so much control of this game. Just look at the vision alone. Misfits Premier, they only really have 2 pink wards on the map. The second one just placed there now. And that's all they can really see. They can control a little bit of the bot side, but when BTXL get their setup again and they come out of base, they need to start pushing in these mid waves so they can control the map.
Now the gold lead isn't as bad as it might seem. XL are up 1,000 gold at the moment, and that is it. The problem is where that gold is and where the items are going. Deadly, 1.5 item in now. You can see he's got a 2,400 gold lead over Woolite.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary stuff. We've got 2 minutes until this dragon's spawning up as well, so a bit of time until that's going to be a problem. But already, XL are trying to kind of nestle control of this river, control the area, and deny Misfits any opportunity to even contest this third dragon.
Yeah, only around a 1,000 gold lead, so it doesn't look too scary, but just based on pure resources and firepower and fights, BTXL a lot more favored when it comes to Misfits' comp with the single target damage, just wave clear from Viktor. And like you said, the gold's on the right people, right? You've got the XP lead onto Deadly, 3 levels up onto Woolite, Hatrixx up a level on Sertuss. The gold lead is in the favor of the carries of XL, whereas the deficit is just really on Markoon. He's a level down, yes, but what is that in a team fight? At 100, 200 HP, when you've got an Aatrox who's also a level up, who's hit his first item spike, there's a lot of more resources here than just gold that BTXL have. Orome just needs to be careful not to get caught out here.
It does have the World Ender and the Blast Cone to get over the wall, although Shlatan will follow up, and at this point, Orome can just pop the R and glide away to safety.
Yeah, no damage there. You could see the Tahm Kench of Jactroll hovering to try and ult there to try and make it a 4-man play, but in the end, he's only level 10, doesn't have too much range on that. And BTXL, what they're doing here is they're keeping Orome top so that he can TP to the Drake fight in 1 minute 30 seconds, and they're keeping bot side control to make sure Misfits can never retake it, so that when the Drake spawns, they have full vision, full control to take it. So that's the setup idea here that's going on. Misfits, how do they crack it open? Well, they need to wait for BTXL to base and maybe take a bad base or even just reset for more wards, and then maybe they can start sweeping it out, pushing forwards, maybe put numbers towards this mid wave, and then they can walk into river together.
You can see as well, the ult getting burned by Orome really didn't matter to him. It's almost back off cooldown. He'll have it for the dragon fight if he's needed to even be there. And the vision control now slowly turning in favor of XL. Misfits did have control of the area for a small amount of time, but just before the dragon comes up, it is going to be XL favored. Advienne's standing on a ward though, so they do know where he is. Although actually it was a control ward, so they don't know where he is until he walks out into the lane and reveals himself.
Yeah. And the interesting thing here is Woolite and Jactroll are basing, so Dragons in 30 seconds, they need to get back out on the map quickly. Maybe they use a Tahm Kench ult to get to the mid tower fast or something like this, but Orome is going to base, he's going to pick up a couple items perhaps, and he's got his TP ready, so Misfits, they kind of have to fight this Drake because they can't cross map really. They can't go for the Baron because they don't have enough damage in the early game, and I think BTXL will probably smell it out. And then going for a cross map top for top tier 1, they don't have any wave to play with because Orome keeps clearing it. So Misfits have to contest this Drake, I would say, or at least try to poke and prod their way in, which is wouldn't be surprised to me if we see that happening because Agresivoo is already moving down. Orome just based, and he has a TP ready. We might see a fight here.
Yeah, the charge should be coming in any moment from Agresivoo. Dragon's on the map. XL have actually been bullied out for the moment as they are stepping away from the river. Slowly but surely, though, trying to grab a foothold. As there's a control ward in the bush, Hatrixx does spot it out. Shlatan waiting for his opportunity as Orome just walks into the river. He doesn't give a damn. He's level 14 right now. And XL just bully their way into the river. They are going to secure this dragon, but could that come at the cost of the tower?
Looks
like
it.
that will be the case.
Yeah, looks like they're going to trade mid-tier 1 for the Drake. Smart play by Misfits, poke and prod their way in, force BTXL to go around the wave to try and get into the Dragon, and they're going to try to rush that down. As Jactroll uses the Abyssal Voice towards the top side, they're going to push in top as well, so really good macro play here from Misfits. Maybe they can get 2 towers for this Drake, but that does mean that BTXL are on Dragon Soul point, and they will be able to trade bot tier 1 as well. So Misfits need to make sure they don't over-rotate here. Don't put too many numbers top, because you could lose your mid tower, and then it ends up being an even trade. But 2 towers is a good start. That does get Misfits a little bit more gold on their carries. But in the end, BTXL, Dragon Soul point.
Definitely a really nice play by Misfits to make a bad situation pretty good. But like you said, it is soul point to XL. Cloud Soul, not the worst soul, but considering the comp here for XL as well. So they're okay to pick that one up. And they are just buying themselves time. 2 items on Deadly, 2 items on Hatrixx. Markoon closing in on his second item. Same for Orome. The damage is going to start to pile up. It is starting to get a little bit worrying because you look over at Woolite, just got that Kraken Slayer and the plated steel caps. You've just got the Leandries onto Sertuss. Sure, there's 2 items onto Shlatan. Shlatan does technically have a lead over Markoon, but Markoon's okay. He's got his chem tank. He's close to getting his dead man's play. He's also close to getting himself caught out a little bit here by Shlatan, but Shlatan will just bully him off the chicken camp for now.
Yeah, definitely. And more importantly, those second items that BTXL have picked up are penetration items, magic and armor pen. So Deadly and Hatrixx are going to melt through the front line of Misfits when they start getting these fights going. And Misfits don't have the magic pen or the armor pen back to be able to deal with Markoon or even Orome on this Aatrox, who's got a second item, the Spirit Visage. We'll have a lot of healing, and the only real healing reduction is the Bramble Vests on Jactroll and Agresivoo. So BTXL setting up around the top side, around the Baron, keeping control, keeping the mid waves pushed in. And Misfits need to push out side lanes, maybe look for some kind of global ultimate with this level 11 Tahm Kench to catch out someone, or force an ultimate before a fight starts, because in essence, that Tahm Kench ultimate's not going to do anything in fights. So if you can use it on a side lane before a Dragon or before a Baron start and force out a Shockwave or even something like the Hecarim ult, then at least you're trading ultimates before the fight starts, and you have somewhat of an advantage there. But Misfits grouping up mid, trying to contest these mid waves.
Hatrixx level 15 as well. Almost got all the points in his ultimate. I don't think he shockwaved at all this game. He might do his first shockwave as a level 3 shockwave as well.
I wonder what the damage dealt this game is from Hatrixx and stuff like this is, because I don't think either mid lane has really been involved in anything just yet. But Markoon's coming in.
They're looking for it. They're going to knock them back for the moment. Watch for that shockwave. In comes the rest of XL. Jactroll very low. The shockwave going to actually whip here for the moment. Deadly now looking to join in. Orome, massive heal out as now Hatrixx has to flash away from Sertuss, who throws down the ultimate. Advienne gets slowed up for the moment, and XL don't get a kill, but also very low HP for them.
Yeah, just as we say, the shockwaves and the ultimates from the mid laners haven't been used. They instantly pop it 2 seconds later, but BTXL, that was kind of a confusing play. They went for an engage, but Deadly was too far. Advienne didn't really get a good ult, and there wasn't enough follow-up for that engage. Maybe they were just trying to catch Smelt on the vision. In the end, all they get is Woolite's flash, so a bit of a blunder there from BTXL. Hatrixx losing his flash won't hurt him too much because there isn't much dive potential from Misfits, so he won't get punished as much as he would against a different composition. But you can see the team fights are actually not so bad for Misfits if they can get some kind of front to back going and they can split up BTXL, but Deadly wasn't there, so I'll have to see how another team fight goes when there is a numbers who are kind of equal at the start of the fight.
It did feel a little scattered, a little forced by XL as the game was slowing down, and it felt like they were losing control, but they're okay. You've said it multiple times. This is a comp that will scale, so they're quite fine chilling for the moment.
Misfits starting up Baron.
They're looking for it. They have been spotted out by the control ward, and the ultis are already back up for XL. Everything but that charm from Advienne. Gonna throw out the W by Deadly to spot them out for the moment. Another pink in the bushes. Markoon can look for that charge across multiple members. Shockwave's there for Hatrixx. There to fear onto a couple of members. Look for the Shockwave. Deadly free firing off, and they are pulling the trigger. 2 members caught out by the Shockwave. Woolite is low. Deadly slides into the backline, secures himself a kill. So far, it's a 1-for-1. Sertuss forced out. Deadly gets a double kill. Shlatan chased away by Hatrixx. It's another one picked up by Orome. 3 for none in favor of BTXL.
Yeah, BTXL is going to get the Baron off of that. You have to question the decision from Misfits there. I think they wanted to start the Baron and maybe look for a 50-50, but they all decide to back away into a choke against the Hecarim Orianna. The ultimate, the Shockwave comes out around the last second. Woolite no flash from the early on fight, and then Deadly dives the backline. Orome is just running at them, doing so much damage. We talked about it in draft, the amount of threats this BTXL composition has. Even though Markoon gets taken down, look at the follow-up from this Hecarim ult. It does scatter the members of Misfits a little bit, but just keep your eyes on Advienne and Hatrixx. Hatrixx pops the ultimate here, Advienne instantly dives in with the quickness, and Deadly dives in with the killer instinct. So much backline threat, and Woolite can't survive it.
Amazing execution there from XL. I don't know if Woolite was clipped by that Shockwave. I genuinely didn't catch that. But for now, they've got Baron, and they are looking towards this Cloud Soul. And it's pretty much a freebie at this point. Misfits unable to contest. That means the Elder will be spawning up in 6 minutes' time. And that's when it starts to get even scarier.
Yeah, and BTXL have all they need to start pushing this game even further forward. They're so far ahead in XP and gold. They have the Baron buff, they have the Cloud Soul. Just wait for Orome to push in bot, and they're going to play something called the 1-4, where Orome's going to push in bot, has the TP ready in case a fight starts in mid. And Misfits, what engage do you have apart from the Sion ultimate? That's pretty much it. So you can't really punish BTXL for overstepping. All you've really got is an Abyssal Voyage and a Chaos Storm for the fight, so it's a bit of a mismatch in fights, whereas BTXL has a clear plan: dive the backline, use all these AoE ultimates, zone away their carries, and from there Orome can start getting resets and going forwards. But right now BTXL, they're not putting a threat in mid here. The threat's not in mid, they're just buffing up the wave, clearing the wave. The threat is on bot side. Misfits need to respond to Orome's push, who is 2 levels up on Agresivoo.
Look at the items between Woolite and Deadly right now. Kraken Slayer, Mortal Reminder, and the Hurricane versus just a Kraken Slayer and the Rage Knife for Woolite.
Yep, so far behind, and Deadly still 3 levels up, so far ahead in damage and items. And now, once you put your members towards the bot side to deal with Orome, the threat becomes the mid side. So BTXL can push forwards. Misfits should lose this tower eventually, whether it's this wave or the next wave. They can't really clear these Baron buffs creeps. They can't step up too far because there's so many spells that they have to be afraid of. And now BTXL can move towards the top side. Shlatan maybe can clear out this wave, but Markoon's running there too. Shlatan has to be careful. Doesn't decide to go for it.
And there's going to be the buff. They're going to use the Abyssal Voyage from Jactroll just to try and get here to help clear the waves out. But Deadly just free firing onto that tower. That'll be the tier 2 going down as a Shockwave does clip onto Jactroll. Takes a fair amount of damage as the Void is popped from the Void Seeker. XL are going to be happy with that and just walk away.
Yeah, good rotation from XL. Push in mid, move top as 4, and then Orome goes from bot to mid to catch the wave, so Misfits don't have any pushing lanes. And BTXL, it feels like they've been in the driver's seat the whole game long. The only real things that Misfits did this game was getting the kill onto Markoon on the Baron fight and getting the first Herald onto mid tower. That feels like the only real things they've done, barring the macro rotation they did when XL went for that third Drake. So they needed to have done more in this early game, I believe. So now I think BTXL are just going to outscale them. They have the Cloud Soul. Baron should be up soon. I think the next Baron buff's what's going to be cracking open the base. And BTXL's next objective right now is this bot tier 2. So we'll see if Misfits can defend it. They can't really use their globals effectively because Orome can just run away. They don't have the damage. And the Abyssal Voyage is just not really that useful when you don't really have a side laner.
So it looks like Misfits are maybe looking to jump onto Orome, although Orome level 16. Pretty hard to deal with that World Ender, and Misfits are just being tugged around the map. They're having to answer everywhere all at once. XL will take their final tower. Well, not their final tower. They've still got 1 tier 2 tower outside of the base.
Yeah, and they're going to move down to that now, I believe. I think one person will stay mid and clear the wave. Orome will start pushing this in. I think Misfits can defend this, though. No Baron up, but creeps. And we'll see how they use this kind of even state in a sense now. There's no more Baron buff for BTXL. They have a top wave pushing out. Maybe they can clear out the vision or look for some kind of pick on the map because they still have the Tahm Kench Abyssal Voyage. The problem is they don't have any pushing lanes again, so there's no real way to find a pick.
It does feel incredibly hard right now for Misfits Premier. This is the 2nd seed from the LFL as well. And like you said, if XL can win this, it means we'll have in our semi-finals 1 team from a different region.
Yeah, we'll have the NLC, the Superliga. We'll have the French team, and we'll have the DAC region. So we'll have 4 different regions in the semis if BTXL do win the series. But Misfits were so dominant in the group stage, so it's confusing to see why there wasn't so much proactivity in this game at all, really. So definitely something to look at for game 2, but the game's not over just yet. Maybe they do make a mistake. Maybe Misfits can find some kind of team fight around the Baron, but to do that, I think the key thing they need to do is make a pick before the Baron starts. But BTXL are grouping up at the right times. They're pushing at the right time, so it makes it really difficult to even find a single member to pick off. Look at them already just staying in pairs of 2 or pairs of 3 in a sense, so it's really difficult for Misfits to find anything at all.
Well, 30 minutes on the clock. That Baron is up in a minute's time. The Elder Dragon in 1 minute 30 as well. So it could be one into the other if XL are afforded the opportunity.
Yeah, Baron's up in 49. And BTXL have full topside control. So Misfits, they have to group up if they want to contest anything. Maybe they can push out mid and move into river and try to start contesting anything, because BTXL are going to melt this Baron with the Kai'Sa. So if they drop the ball for 5 to 10 seconds, that Baron's gone. So you can see pushing in waves, trying to kind of look for poking and prodding on any vision line. As Shlatan's there. And BTXL smartly kind of keeping them in their base. Orome has the TP ready in case a fight starts. They want to keep all 3 lanes pushed in. And when Misfits are under their tier 3s, or if they can push them back far enough, then they can start up this Baron.
Deadly with that Hurricane able to shove the wave nice and fast, and now bolt over towards the Baron. Thanks to the Cloud Soul, do get that extra movement speed, and it's going to be Baron on spawn for XL. Orome will just continue to pressure the bottom side of the map, and question is are we going to see some kind of an answer here from Misfits Premier? It looks like that's going to be the case. Sertuss is teleporting in. Shlatan on the way over is very, very low. He has the ability to steal this one away. Gonna try and get over that blast cannon. Can he do it? Yes, he can! Shlatan steals away the Baron, but he will lose his life for it. Now Orome has jumped in, and the rest of the team are launching into the fray. Deadly killer instincts onto the backline, flashes over Agresivoo, and he's just continuing to fire off. The Chaos Storm will zone him for the moment, but here comes the laser beams, and Markoon will finish him off back into the gravity field, and down he goes as Hatrixx takes that Jactroll. Only one remains for Misfits Premier. XL give up the Baron, but they take everything.
Yeah, they're going to get the Elder Dragon as well, so they're going to push in these waves. They don't have a mid wave for mid because Agresivoo ulted towards it to stop the push, but they're going to get an Elder Dragon for themselves. So this Baron buff that Shlatan's stolen away, only one person has it, so it's not going to be as effective. Yes, the 50-50 was won. It was a great play by Shlatan to steal away the Baron, but Misfits had to run, and they couldn't. There was way too many spells chasing them down with the quickness, with the Hecarim, the Kai'Sa ult. They tried to escape after the steal, but BTXL chased him down. Really good steal from Shlatan. He didn't even have vision by the looks of it. Does get vision now, flashes over, gets the steal. Oh. And now the communication from Misfits just to run. But there's Orome behind them. Advienne's got the quickness, they're flashing in, and then the Kai'Sa ult as well. So there's really not much they could have done there. And they're going to lose the Elder Dragon. So now BTXL, Cloud Dragon Soul, all that movement speed helping them on the fights, and an Elder Dragon buff. So they're going to push this game in, they're going to push them into the tier 3s, and they're going to look for a fight in the next couple of minutes.
Well, as we come out of the replay, the Baron is obviously on Agresivoo in the bottom side of the map. Not really enough of XL to go deal with him, but he's just going to go for the reset. Deadly level 17, got 4 items. The Infinity Edge has just been finished up. You've got Cloud Soul, you've got Elder Drake. XL are well and truly into the late game, and I just don't think Misfits have the firing power. Look at the XP difference between Woolite and Deadly right now. Level 13 to level 17.
Yeah.
2 items to 4.
Such a big item discrepancy. And BTXL at this point, they can just run it down. They can just run through the base and start hitting them, start a fight. Maybe they won't even look for a dive, but they're still running the 4-1. I think they're going to get dove soon. BTXL should definitely pull the trigger with the item advantage, the XP advantage like you talked about, and the Elder Dragon buff.
Slow and steady here for XL. They're not really syncing up their waves. Crashing is the problem they've got right now. The mid wave crashes a long time before the bot wave does. And they also are pushing into the Baron. But Agresivoo is able to layer out, so it's slowing down this shove from XL as Markoon ramping up the E, looking to jump in, will take a tongue lash and takes a fair amount of damage. This tower, not really long for the world, even with the Baron on Misfits. As down goes that tier 3, the bot lane inhibitor will be quick to follow as well, as that'll be taken out.
Yeah, Misfits being really careful here. 30 seconds left on the Elder Dragon. They don't want to walk up and start a fight. They have enough disengage with the front line that they have on Udyr and Sion to kind of take a little bit of hits here and there, try and clear the wave, and then back off in time. But BTXL, although they won the fight and they stopped the Baron, they got the Elder Dragon, but they didn't really do much with it. They couldn't find a dive. They managed to get a bot inhibitor, but that's not the end of the world when you've got a Viktor. He should be able to clear out the waves. So this game might be a bit slow for the next couple of minutes unless Misfits make a mistake, because right now I think they're just going to try and farm up and match the items. Woolite barely completed the third item when Deadly is building towards his last, so need to buy some time here for Misfits. Try and be a bit patient, clear out waves, get some more levels, get some more XP, because Deadly's not going to get any stronger. Hatrixx, he's at max level. So if they can catch up a little bit on the opposition, on their opposition counterparts, then maybe they can find a little bit more of an advantageous fight as the game progresses. But the Elder Dragon's off. BTXL, they still have the Cloud Soul, but they don't have the Baron, so pushing in is going to be very difficult against the wave clear that the Misfits have, so I think they're just going to have to wait for the next Baron, and this time, try not to flip it.
Deadly's got that stopwatch as well, which to me signals that he is looking for that big final fight. You got the Zhonya's on Hatrixx as well, which means the very limited amount of dive and threat they have onto XL's backline is basically evaporated by those two items. Just giving that stasis, giving that safety over to the members. And Orome, Guardian Angel, level 18. Such a problem right now. Because I would like to see how many stacks Woolite is on right now on the Senna, because that is obviously a slight indication. 140.
Not bad. That is not bad at all. I mean, we saw in the LEC Reckless, I think he had the most I think we've seen. I can't remember what the number was exactly, but he was hitting people from a different office in Berlin. It was so far I could see the bullets flying across Berlin. He had such long range on that Senna. And the range will help Woolite, but the problem is BTXL aren't playing at a range, they're diving onto you. So Woolite needs to make sure he's careful, has good positioning, and does respect the dive potential of BTXL, who are just kind of herding Misfits into their own base, waiting for the waves to push in, keeping them pushed in, and then they're waiting for this Baron spawn. I think they're going to turn and burn it again. Orome is probably going to look to TP in or already be there for the fight. And Misfits, I don't think they see anything on the map just yet. That one ward placed by Woolite gives them a little bit of vision, but they don't see anything on the map. And Hecarim is really balanced. 1,200 move speed out of base. Sonic the Hedgehog in disguise.
So quick.
Yeah, it's not a reset for Hecarim. It's just a quick break for 5 seconds and he's back on the map. So much move speed on that Hecarim and 30 seconds on the Baron. So, can Misfits get some kind of setup? Can they walk in and contest any vision to be able to contest the Baron? Because I think once the Baron falls, holding the base is going to be near impossible.
It's going to be so hard for them. And these were the final buys by XL. Got the Elixir of Iron on Markoon, giving a little bit of movement speed to his allies, along with that extra tenacity.
And you can see Misfits pinging on this mid wave. They want to walk up and contest the top side. Baron spawning now. So BTXL showing on this mid wave gives Misfits information that they're not starting it up just yet. But they will need to poke and prod their way in now, because BTXL going missing, 0 vision on this Baron. Only 1 blue orb on Jactroll, and there it is, used. They know they started it, so now they need to move in.
But it's going down so quick, and this time Advienne's going to try and stop Shlatan from getting over that wall. He's got himself the quickness, misses the flash, but he does charm him up, and that's going to be the Baron secured. Advienne able to slide away to safety as Orome has jumped into the middle of everyone. Locked down, knocked up with the shockwave, collapsed onto Jactroll. Here's the charge onto the backline. Deadly Killer Instinct's in, and he is just ripping through the members of Misfits. It's a double kill for him already. His support gets the next one. Agresivoo locked in place and slowly but surely being taken down as Hatrixx secures the kill, double teleports into the base, and XL are going to close out the first game of this best of 3.
Yeah, that's going to be a win for XL. You can see the damage in the fight. It doesn't matter who XL's hitting, because all their spells are AoE, so Misfits clump up. Markoon finds the engage. Deadly ults in the backline. It looked a bit shaky because he just ulted onto 5 people and flashed out, but he has the Renan's Hurricane, gets the damage out alongside Hatrixx. And BTXL take game 1 in this best of 3, which I think this game was very, very slow. I mean, Misfits not really finding any proactive plays. BTXL kind of being on the driver's seat, waiting for the scaling, getting the item advantages, and then just going home with the game.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of harks back to when we see Misfits get ahead, their games are very quick, but in that game, they didn't get ahead. You know, we looked at that stat at the beginning of the game. They were up 5,000 gold typically across their 6 games in the European Masters so far. And then when they fell behind, it just felt like they didn't have an answer. And it kind of started from that bot lane, because that was where they wanted to play through. With Deadly getting first blood on like the second or third wave, Really, really rough stuff for them. But with that, that is going to be XL finding themselves their first win of this best of 3. But like I said, more games to go, so we'll find out whether or not Misfits can fire back. But for now, it's time for a break. See you in a moment.
Nothing comes easy. I've learned that the hard way. I've had those bad days. Yeah, I've had those bad days. And they say, never gonna make it that far. You don't even know who you are. You'll never go all the way. Who do you think that you are? But I know. I'ma be that one in a million. I'll be that one in a million. Ain't gotta stop till I'm at the top. I'll be that one in a million. I'ma be that one. I'ma be that one in a million. I'll be that one. I'll be that one in a million. Got so much to learn. Yeah, I know it's a long road, but I got nowhere else to go. I got nowhere else to go. And they say, never gonna make it that far. You don't even know who you are. You'll never go all the way. Who do you think that you are? But I know. I'ma be that one in a million. I'll be that one in a million. Ain't gotta stop till I'm at the top. I'll be that one in a million. I'ma be that one. I'ma be that one in a million. I'll be that one. I'll be that one in a million. I'ma be that one. I'ma be that one in a million. I'll be that one. I'll be that one in a million. I'ma be that one in a million. I'll be that one. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little impaired. I know right now you don't care, but soon enough you're gonna think of me and how I used to be.
Okay. Made it out it when they doubt it. They can't do a thing about it. No roof, top down it.
All or nothing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the European Masters. We're coming fresh off an XL win over Misfits Premier in the first game of this best of 3. And honestly, it was a very clean game from XL. It was a little drawn out. Misfits did buy a lot of time. I mean, you had the Viktor, you had the Senna for that wave clear, but XL, outside of that, it was outside of the length of the game, was genuinely a very good game by them, very clean.
Yeah, it all comes down to that bot lane. I think Deadly gets the first blood, Markoon visits again against the gank, and then they move their bot lane around the map. They start the Drake, then they go towards Herald, and they deny all the cross maps from the side of Misfits. And I feel like Misfits' draft is a bit questionable to the point where you're playing a Senna Tahm Kench, which is almost like arguably a weak side lane where you can just kind of play top side and let them farm up and scale. And then you have a Sion top, so Shlatan, as soon as bot lane starts losing, he has nowhere to play to, and the Viktor is just a wave clear, so that's kind of what got them to the point in the game where they did. but they didn't really have the tools to start snowballing the game, finding plays and doing much. So I want to see them change the draft up for game 2, and maybe even if they go blue side again, which I wouldn't be surprised to see them do, because I think blue side is stronger than red side, just try to get more impactful champions in the early stages game that Udyr can play around. And if you're going to play Senna, Tahm, Kench, I think picking some kind of split pusher top like the Jace would have been a better option.
Yeah, I need to get confirmation on what the side selection will be, but I'm curious to see what the adaptation will be in the picks and bans, because XL played a very aggressive team comp, and you know, it wasn't like an overly aggressive game. They were winning these team fights, as you can see them on your screen right now, of good kind of like early game from the bot lane, but realistically it was just XL kind of holding on, and then the gold graph over time kind of tells you it. Post 20 minutes, they just put their pedal to the metal and they just took over the game. Yeah, the game came all about teamfights, and Misfits' comp in teamfights just weaker than XL, so I feel like they gave them way too many power picks. They gave them Hecarim, Orianna, they gave them a Kai'Sa, Rakan lane into the Senna, Tahm, Kench. So essentially, Misfits got counterpicked top, they got counterpicked in bot lane, and they still gave away Hecarim, and the Orianna Viktor trade is pretty even, if not beneficial for the Orianna because of the champions she has around her. So Misfits in that draft, I think that they definitely dropped the ball. I think they need to step it up in the next draft if they want more proactivity or more scaling or more team fight. Just pick something that can match into the side of XL. But I felt like they were trying to put their hand in too many things. And then eventually when you look at their comp, they have globals, they have team fight, and they have frontline. So none of it really makes sense together, especially without any proactivity in early game, because the Udyr doesn't have any pushing lanes to play around. Well, it's time for another break, as we're going to get ourselves ready to go into the second game of the series. Love me some breaks. See you in a minute.